Happy Monday, everybody. Aria Masudi here for another Seminole Sidelines and a special guest joining us on the show, head coach of FSU Softball, Lonni Alameda. Coach, first off, so appreciative of you to join us here on this Monday morning. I'm sure the fans are going to be stoked to see you on, and what a season it has been. What's been the most rewarding part for you so far through about 47 or so games?
Yeah, wow. Well, Ari, thank you for having me. This is super cool. Cool little system we have here. It's my first time on this, so we just chatted about it. It's pretty awesome. So, goodness. I think the journey, I think every coach talks about the journey of their season. I think we as a staff has continued to try to push buttons with this team and get them comfortable with team softball and, how to do that. So, at Clemson, at FATech, this last couple weekends, it's been cool to see that start to play out and, see the joy they have playing the game. That's probably the most rewarding.
We talk about Team 40, and every year you've been so, I think, impressive at flipping a script from one team to another, making sure each team has its own identity, even if you have a lot of returners coming back. What's been that dynamic like with Team 40 and pushing towards your goals here in 2023?
Yeah, I think there's can be shadows of some great players that played on the team before, and it's really hard to come in to live up to maybe the expectation of what those players had done to with the program, or maybe what the program has done the year before. So really important to let the current team know, this is your team. We may have the same core values, we may have the same standards, but this is your team to work on your expectations and how you're going to execute them. And so I think that, it may take us a little while to get going sometimes, but then that identity of that team starts to show up, and, the foundation is still the same. I think as a coaching staff, we get together and we still talk the same common language. It's just the way that they morph into what Team 40 looks like. And we're starting to see a little bit of this right now. So goodness, Sid Sherrill, incredible. Danielle Watson, incredible. And what they did for us and everything they left out in the field and all the legacy moments. Now, they're alumni, and now we got to represent Team 40 and be who we are, but still honor, all the love and joy they had to play and wear this uniform. And so those would be the shadows that you talk about, that you're trying to fulfill, or gosh, just be us and do us and figure out us.
It's been fun to watch you guys be you, so to speak. And I know you challenged this team early in the year, and you've never been shy about taking this team to whether it's St. Pete Clearwater or this year, which was really cool to see you guys go out to Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. Teams don't, usually willingly go out to play those two teams on their home turf. You wanted to. Why is that?
Yeah. Well, I think, Travis does the schedule, and we chat about it year in and year out of what kind of schedule we want to have. And the great thing for us right now is our conference is not only strength of schedule, it's strength of schedule versus strength of schedule. We got a really good conference going with good RPIs. And so that's really helping us, especially in the last 10 games, where years ago that wasn't the case. So years ago, we had to go out and really get a competitive RPI schedule, but also balance the winning at the same time. And but you find out that you grow as a team being in those big moments. Really cool to see some of the home stadiums of some of the great teams and great programs out there. Oklahoma, obviously special because that's where I went to school, and the fact that they're getting a $25 million stadium here next year. So to play in kind of the older stadium and then to see where that's going, because we're all a part of the growth of softball. So a little history lesson, in that part from there. But we just want to be good, and you got to play good teams to find out where you're at. And so individually, as maybe a pitcher or hitter or a defensive player, can I size you up and be next to you, and the real, facing Valerie Cagle, it's awesome, to see her in person. You see all this stuff on TV, and then you get to see him in person, I think is awesome. And the environment is awesome, and, I think of just going to play, Coleman, even though we saw her in 21, but, get a chance to see her in her environment. She's a great leadoff hitter. It's really cool to be there and compete against them. So, to just be on the field and go head to head with some great players is pretty special.
Without a doubt. And Coach, I mean, I've had the pleasure of being able to call some of your games at Graph, and that honor, and I've always appreciated you giving me those opportunities since I was in college,
Yeah.
those all those years ago. But uh, I remember something that stuck with me a couple of weekends ago when you were playing Virginia, and you said we're playing well. And then I asked you, is this team where you want it to be? And you quickly said no. You said there's still things we need to clean up. And this is after you swept Clemson on the road,
Yeah.
which had been hard for 29 games for anyone to beat them in their home park.
Yeah.
You wanted team at bats to be a little bit better. You wanted QPAs, a little more team oriented softball. Did you feel like you saw some more of that this weekend
Yes.
in Blacksburg?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, there was a different feel in team meetings. There's a different feel in the scouting sessions. There's different talk in the dugout right now. And not that we didn't have those abilities before, we just weren't as connected. And that takes time. You can pour into a team and pour into a team, but when they start to let their guard down and they start to become a little bit more vulnerable and they start to let people in, now the team really starts to get tighter and tighter and tighter. And so we've definitely been talking a lot about that. So yeah, you as a coach can want it all you want, but it's them that have to really start to let that in. So it was a special weekend to see that happen in Blacksburg.
And we've talked about those environments and the ACC getting better and and putting crowds in and fans supporting their team. It felt like you had good crowds all weekend in Blacksburg. Friday was Kat Sandercock being vintage Kat Sandercock comes out, does her job. You guys put enough runs on the plate there too. Win game one. Game two was where your medal was tested, so to speak. You go to your final 3 outs. And again, this team just finds a way. How special was game two and the conversations? What were you guys saying in that dugout to make the comeback?
Yeah, I think there's nothing different when we start to get in those moments other than just do what you do. And I think that's where you start to, pull back from the 40 games that have been under your belt, right? You're always going to fall back to your training is something that we talk about, right? Or fall back to the way that you've been in games. And, I think Kat's been great at just going in and just taking a deep breath and just one pitch mindset, one pitch, this can get it done. And now the team starts to feel that heartbeat of just one pitch softball. And so, yeah, it's pretty fun to see them start to take ownership of what they want. And there's a lot of people that, to sweep Virginia Tech was pretty cool, and they, that's the first time that we've done that. That's the first time, and you start to get those moments again of wow, they really, really wanted to make this happen themselves. Of course we do as a coaching staff, but we're not playing catch out there. They're the ones that are doing it. So some big plays, some big moments, some big swings, but definitely a united team.
Yeah. And, we've talked before too about game threes can sometimes be the hardest to get when you've won the first two. Sweeps are hard, whether it's softball, whether it's baseball, whether it's pro softball, MLB. Beating a team 3 times is very difficult. What did you see from your team in game 3? It finally felt like the bats came to life in a way that, you, Travis, and Troy had been kind of working towards all season.
Yeah, I think that, just first pitch, it was like a continuation of day 2. It was just like we were playing again. It was like, usually it takes us a while to get warmed up and going. And it was first pitch, get after it, good swings. Dev set the tone right away, just fouling balls off and trying to work on, picking pitches. And, it was first at bat mindset. So that was, I think, what you just felt like pedal to the metal. Let's go. We're winning this game from first pitch.
Yeah, and now you guys are in prime position in the ACC to hopefully close this thing out and get another regular season. Obviously, there are teams on your tail that are hoping you guys mishap so that they can maybe make up some ground. What's the key for the final few weekends of the regular season for you guys to be able to continue playing at a high level?
Yeah, I think just managing your academics right now. We've got a couple of weeks of finals and papers and grad pictures and life and family members. So managing that side of your life to, again, not letting the moments get too big on this side. Just so play some softball. And we're playing some really good clubs. Like Louisville's put together a really good season, really good ball club, swinging it. Notre Dame playing in South Bend, get a chance to play there and then go back to the ACC tournament there. So But they got some at bats in the lineup there. Gaskins being one of them, and just a big swing. So, we just got to keep doing what we do. Don't worry about regular season. It was an ultimate goal for sure. But if you worry about the outcome, then we'll get lost and we won't stay process oriented. So, just sticking to what we do daily.
Yeah, we're talking with Lonni Alameda, head coach of Florida State softball. Those of you just joining us, this will be available on podcasts later, Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. We appreciate those watching live as well via, like I said, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Coach, let's talk a little bit more macro. We've talked about the weekends, the pitching, right? Kat Sandercock comes back, veteran experience, but you've been trying to find a couple of more arms in that circle behind her that can give you consistency. I know McKenna Reed has done a good job of coming in out of the pen and giving you a change of pace. Behind her, though, Royalty, Dubois, Mac, Leonard. How do you go about trying to find some consistent arms that can support you, not just in the postseason, but hopefully, if fingers crossed, you're out there in Oklahoma City. It seems like teams who have multiple arms have done the best over the years.
Yeah, definitely started off in February with that mindset. Like, how can we build this battery? And we know what Kat's capable of doing, and I think normally we've been like a 1-2 punch, and now we're a 1-5, like we have a lot of people in a lot of different moments that we can pull out and get some things done that we need to get done. So pretty thankful for the mindset that Kat and the whole battery have had, right? Like from opening games to relieving to closing to starting to coming in. Like, McKenna's been in a lot of different situations. Kat's been in a lot of different situations. So been super cool on their side of that. So I think that, we'll keep building that. And I think we're in a good spot with it right now.
What's been the most impressive part of McKenna coming in as a freshman? And obviously the talent, I mean, it screams at you as soon as she releases the ball.
Yeah.
You can't teach that velocity. And it feels like there's more in the tank there as she gets stronger and older. What kind of boost has she given the staff as a whole?
Yeah, I think McKenna came in the summer. We talked about this. She came in, she's wanted to get stronger, and being from Oregon, that's a long way away from home. So again, our family atmosphere kicked in and made her feel comfortable, and she put on some good weight room strength and got after it. So she raised her velo pretty good. Now she's starting to understand how to pitch in games and being in those moments. So yes, everyone's watching this one grow in front of their eyes. But I think she's also been super comfortable in a lot of moments. So I think the team now is like, oh, we know what we're getting from Kenny. And she's done a really good job of just being really honest in those moments and have really good talks. So yeah, she's been great. And, it's a matter of, you only know what you know. She hasn't been to postseason, so she's just doing softball right now. This time next year, she'll have a whole feeling of a season. So, I think as a freshman, you go into your sophomore year, you get a little more expectation. So she's just doing it daily right now. And that's all we need her to do.
Yeah. Pivoting a little bit towards the lineup, you guys have had great lineups over the years, and I know you're a pitching guru, and that's where your background comes from. Before we talk about the specifics of this team, just how much have Travis and Troy meant to you over your career, and what they've been able to do as assistant coaches, helping you kind of fill in the gaps, so to speak, and make this program so strong?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, T-Will and I've been here for a long time now. I think he's into his 13th year here with us. So, I mean, to have consistency, I mean, that's the whole core value of family, of being able to work together through the highs and lows. Sometimes it gets tough and expectation, getting pushed in a lot of areas. And the game's growing in so many areas, not just on the field, but you talk about NIL. And I mean, all those things hit us as a staff. Troy being a little new to the program, but also, understanding every year, where we want to go and how to build it. So the two of them have been outstanding, and just, we're a united front and trying to get this team to where we want to go. I think the other thing is having Kaylee Rafter and Ellie Cooper here also as alumni, but really contributing to the team also in mindset and physical tools. And, Raf brings a wealth of knowledge for the catching game and the offensive side too. So, pulling that in, and Ellie, played in the uniform. And so she's doing the player performance side. So we've just sprinkled in a lot of other things that help us out to continue to grow. And I think we're all dealing with the COVID hangover, I guess you say, just in getting kids comfortable with just being in classes. And, there's just a lot of anxiousness going on. And so when you have different people, like they all don't have to go to me. So I have really good people here that the players can go to and, feel that family atmosphere to grow you as a person and love you and want you to be the best player. So, so very lucky in that regard.
Yeah, and you can see that, I think, permeate throughout your clubhouse and your dugout, just that family atmosphere. It's funny, you something you said stuck with me, actually, about the COVID hangover, so to speak. I called a baseball game, Florida State FGCU, and the FGCU had 5 kids in their lineup who were 24 years old. Yeah. And that was like the big, oh my goodness, like how do they still have eligibility? And it snapped. COVID eligibility. So, I mean, we're in a new age right now in collegiate athletics. How have you and your staff navigated this new era? Like you said, NIL, having some older kids, the transfer portal is big in every sport. How do you think that those 3 cogs affect the game of softball specifically, and how do coaches have to adapt going forward?
Yeah, so it's a big question, Ari. I think the Gen Z, right? We're trying to figure out what Gen Z is all about, and we're trying to figure out what makes kids not as anxious. I think social media's got some anxiousness, but it all comes down to they come in at the same age every year to college. They're always 19. I'm always a year older, always a year wiser, right? I got more experience as a coach. They're the same age. They're trying to go to class. They're trying to cook their own food, and they're trying to do their laundry, right? Like so if we just keep it at the fundamental stages of coming into college and what that's like, there's just different ways to connect with them. And so I think that's the biggest thing is we create those ways to connect with them to get them comfortable. Then we navigate whatever we have to navigate. But if we don't get to the foundation of just leaving your parents for the first time and being on campus and figuring out life, get a connection with the coaching staff so you feel comfortable. So now we can grow as a person and you have an outlet. And I think that's just the bottom line for us and how we attack it. The path, NIL, TV games, not playing, be whatever, the path will take care of itself as long as we have a comfort, within the staff and a connection to the player.
Yeah, it's a really good answer. And that's a better answer than I asked a question. I thought I had you with one there. So well done. As we move forward, I do want to ask, because I got a text message that said, ask her about the Florida game. I know that's you have 2 left, I believe, against the Gators. Those are not just measuring stick games anymore, because your program, I think, is at worst equals theirs, and at best you've surpassed. And these battles are now top 5, top 10 matchups. How much fun does this program have playing the Gators, and what do you envision this atmosphere being like Wednesday night?
Well, I guess atmosphere is one of them. We're so lucky to be able to have this rivalry game in the state of Florida. It's great for the athletes in the state of Florida. It's great for fans of Florida and Florida State in general. So I think that level is special, and we definitely want to continue to build that. When you get to play in front of an environment, we had an environment at Vautech, we had one at Clemson, whether it's hostile or high energy, whatever it is, an environment the players can play in front of, that makes us all better. And so I think that we are just looking forward to the opportunity to be able to compete in an environment here and there. And then you get to face players like Skylar Wallace or, Hightower with a good rise ball, or, and so when you face players that have a high skill set, it makes you better. And so I think those keys, we just look at it as an opportunity. How can we continue to get better? The one thing that's just different for us when we take a break from ACC and SEC play is it's just not a 3-game series. So when you're managing a 3-game series, it's different how you manage it, where when you're playing 1 game, you can pull any pitcher out, you can do anything you need to do. And so the one thing that'll be tough for Florida is they're playing the Monday night game tonight and then have us on Wednesday, where in a week from now we go to their place. They'll have a little more day of rest. But other than that, it's such a great atmosphere. I'm a big fan of Tim and everything he's done for UF softball, because, it helps Florida State softball. And, I think that we continue to grow this game in this state. It raises the bar for everybody, and just really excited to be a part of that.
No doubt about it, Coach. Those are, I mean, some of the most fun games to ever be a part of. And talking to Alex Powers a few weeks back when we teamed up for a broadcast, she said she'll never forget her walk-off home run against Thornhill, I want to say.
Yeah.
It was Thornhill. Yeah. And those are the memories that Florida State create. Because those are all-time moments that don't get lost, right? They don't get lost in the eons of history. Those are the ones you stamp in the back of your brain.
Yeah.
One final thing, when we talked to Alex and I, she mentioned there's no doubt that last season still is in the back of the players' minds. I'm sure it's in the back of your mind because you've been so good at using that, not necessarily as motivation for a new season, but to understand how to appreciate the game year in and year out and to make sure you're lost in the battle. You joked with me last year after that game. You said, well, we've been an every other year team. So maybe this is the team that gets back to OKC. How do you go about using that as motivation, or is it more the players just kind of take that upon themselves to be more consistent game in and game out, turning the page to a new year?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's motivation. It's more of the fascination of why and what happened and how can I be a better coach and how can we be better as a team. And so we're just really trying to pull the layers back of what happened, other than sometimes that's just the game. That's just softball, that's baseball, that's basketball, it's football. Sometimes it's just the game and you got to tip your cap to the game and that's the way it goes. But as you start to pull back layers of like, what could we have done connection wise when we get frustrated? What could we have done skill wise when we needed to execute a play? What could we have done in a doubleheader situation to face with 2 pitchers or 3 pitchers. So strategy, we really started to look at strategy in those areas and talk about them to become better. So, I think 2 ways. 1, tip your cap. Thank you, softball gods. I learned my lesson, and then 2, how can I be better coach? How can we be a better program? So I think that's where we've attacked on both sides of it.
Well, Coach, best of luck rest of the season on tinkering and updating and making sure Team 40 is at peak efficiency when it matters most. I look forward to being there Wednesday night and watching you guys take on the Gators. And again, thank you so much for being a part of this show with us here today.
You're the best, Ari. Thank you.
No
Go
problem.
Noles, huh?
Absolutely. Always and forever. Our next Seminole Sidelines is Wednesday, 12:30. Pat Burnham, Charles Fishbein will have a recruiting show for you live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And again, always available on pod. She's the best, the GOAT, Lonni Alameda, head coach of Florida State Softball. I'm Mario Masudi, and this has been Seminole Sidelines. Thanks for watching.